I'm Loretta Posey, and I'm a Ute Mountain Ute Indian from White Mesa, Utah. My great-great-grandpa was Posey. My grandfather was Jess Posey. Dad was McKean Posey. And my grandmas were May White and Jane White, and my mom, Irma Lehi. My grandpa on my mom's side was Abe Lehi Sr., and my grandmother was Helena Catsey. I lived in, sometimes in the summer up with my grandparents who lived at Ellen Canyon, and also when we all lived in Westwater, we used to live there too, my parents, my mom and her family, and the rest of White Mesa people. We lived there for quite a while until they moved us down to White Mesa, where they were building homes for the people of White Mesa. And my ancestors all lived up Allen Canyon, and they raised corn, had horses, and other vegetables. And they hunted up in Bears Ears. The family picked piñons, and they got sumac for their baskets to make the weave baskets. They traveled back and forth from White Mesa to Allen Canyon because some of the family had sheep and horses whom they had to take back and forth for the summer or for the winter months that go back to White Mesa. We moved to White Mesa, and that's where we've been living at since. I had 3 sons, one's deceased, and I have 1 daughter, granddaughters and grandsons, and I have a lot of great-grandchildren. Also, I worked with the Ute language with the late Mary Jane Yancey. She was my cousin, sister, friend. She worked there teaching at the elementary school, teaching the Ute language to the grade school kids. And she made me a substitute whenever she couldn't make it. So I subbed for her, and I taught the Ute language also. And then we did it at the middle school too in Blandon. We did the history book too with Eldine Ketchum and Mary Jane Yancey, the late Mary Jane Yancey, and myself, Loretta Posey. We worked on the dictionary with Brian Stubbs, the linguist. Did that with the help of the prayer, to have us understand some of the words that we couldn't remember, but when it came to us, and the prayer really helps, because the words that we couldn't remember, it came to us, and we said it, and we worked on it for quite a while. Also, we did the history book. Some of the elders from White Mesa and the people from White Mesa worked on it, or gave their, the professor, Bob McPherson's the one that went around and got information from the people, and we got the history book done, and it's really important that we know our Ute language and our Ute culture. We have the bear dance that we have every fall, and the kids, they need to as an infant, I guess you really have to speak to them in their youth language to make them understand what it is, and they'll understand. When they're growing up, they learn how to say some words, you know, and we want all the little kids and some of the people that don't understand to learn it. Because it's important that we know it, because some of the elders, you know, they like to be talked to in youth. And if you understand it, you know, they enjoy it. And I think it's really important that we do that. And also, I'm on the UDB board, and my late cousin, Mary Jane Yazzie, she's the one that told me. She said she kept stressing to Gavin to put me on the board, but at that time I used to just go with her to her meetings, and she kept asking Gavin and them to put me on the board, but it was quite a while before it happened. Anyway, she was there. So we went to all her coalition meetings and her UDB board meetings, and we traveled to Bears Ears too. And it was unfortunate that she had to pass away at that time, and she was the one that went and with her grandson Alejandro. They went up to Washington, and they brought the totem pole back down with the people that made it from the Lummi tribe. And she's the one that took it to Bears Ears when we were there for the gathering. And she was really happy to know that it was there. She kept telling us to touch it, you know, because it was, she said it's a real good totem pole that gives all blessings. And but we were all there, and we were happy to be there up in Bears Ears, because that place is really a unique place, real peaceful, quiet. Deers are coming around, walking around like, you know, they're not afraid of anybody. They just came out and just like they were there to just enjoy everybody. And we enjoyed the deers and the scene gathering that was going on there, all the bear dance that they did, her and Stella Aitu, the late Stella Aitu. And we even had deer meat, since that was our custom. We as youth people, we enjoyed deer meat because all our young late uncles and grandpas and our dad and everyone, you know, they all were hunters, and they hunted deer, and that's what they got in the late October. And you know, it was good. Malcolm's the one that went and got the deer that time we had the gathering up there. And it was good, and also all the board members were up there doing certain things. And I'm glad to be on the board because after my late cousin Mary passed away, Malcolm wanted me to be on the board, so they selected me to be on the board over at the 12 Casino. But it's really important that we have our culture, our youth language, and we keep that all going, that all the young ones will be doing that and learning all the things that the youths do, and learning their customs and their traditions, and doing the bear dance and speaking the language, being respectful to each other. We were taught to listen to our grandparents, our mother, our parents. That way we knew how to act around them, and we need to know where we come from and whom we come from.
The traditional part of hunting is something that as a young man is taught to you by our elders, and the thought of doing things is always brought from our elders, grandparents. Just the thought of that is generations of hunters, and in my perspective, I'm probably about the 7th generation of hunters from my side of the family, from my grandparents to my grandpa, the great-great-grandparents, and taught on down the line. So that's something that I will teach my kids, or kids that I come into contact with, our youth, and letting them know the perspective of being a hunter and what it goes with it from the beginning, from blessings to teachings that go way back. A lot of people don't know about the Ute way of hunting. We've got other tribes that do their way of traditional way of hunting, and our way is really something unique because there's blessings that come with that as you become of age as a young man born from their mother, from the womb and stuff. Those are some of the traditional ways of the huntings that have been brought areas, traditional hunting areas, to which nowadays is more of a state hunt, to tribal allotment lands, and it goes back to our hunting treaty rights too, because if we didn't have that, that would be kind of misinterpreted. But due to the fact that when you're taught these things, you don't forget it, and understanding the landscape, because if you don't know the landscape, and then a lot of the times when you get out there to hunt to get what you need to get and bring back to your home, sometimes won't happen, because if you don't have the traditional teachings of that, of how to go out and hunt and do the things and where to find the animal that you're hunting for, won't happen. Ways of hunting we use as the Anglo way of hunting now. We got rifle, but the traditional way of hunting is with the bow, and that's the way they hunted in the past. And you have to build your own bow. That's part of the traditional ways of learning what plant to go get, where to go get it, what time of the year. So there's a lot that comes into play that you don't just a lot of people nowadays go out and buy bows, compound bows or whatever it is, to hunt with, and have that knowledge, whether it's here in your mind or here at your heart, because anything you do is going to come from your heart. And that's the traditional teachings, that you have to understand that, and to get out there and to be physically fit to get out there and hunt and hike and do the other things that comes along with that. So the traditional part of it is getting fit before you go hunt and doing certain things. As we speak, in the past, the elders at one time were able to speak to the animals just as we do today in the English, and they understood one another, and these were the things that are taught to through the traditional ways of hunting, because a lot of the times these animals can understand, and if you're out there to do what you're not supposed to be doing, sometimes they warn you and let you know. And there's the birds and even the squirrels, all the animals, they understand these things. They understand that time of the year that when hunting comes around. But us as traditional hunters, it was a year-round thing, because it was to provide for your families, because that's our treaty right. So if we to say today, and I want to go out and get me a deer, and you have to go through the process of getting the people to understand at the hunting commission to the wildlife department, and let them understand and educate them that these are the things that come into play as a hunter, or as a traditional hunter. So there's a lot that comes into this, not just signing a piece of paper or drawing out or whatever, not as we do today. So with our treaty hunting right, that's our right to get out there and say that yeah, I'm gonna go out and kill me a deer, and that's our right to go out there and do that if we to do it today. So those are the things that some of our hunters and our commission and our Brunot needs to understand, that which they do, because that was the management plan put into place in regards for us to do our hunting through the Brunot Commission, and I understand that. But not only that, but the Anglo side of things too, because you have to get a hunter safety, and that's another process and teaching that you have to have that to, in regards to get the license to go out and hunt, and what areas you're going to hunt, and prescribing it on there as you do your application, and then you pay a fee. But through our hunting commission and our Brunot hunting and tribal hunts, that we do not pay for those things, because like I said, that's our hunting treaty right to go out there and hunt, and we don't need that. But in today's world, you do have to go through that process to go out there and hunt, if you want to hunt on state or public land. And part of that is, we've got public lands too within our hunting treaty areas too, that we as Ute people are lacking too, because that cuts down our areas of where we're going to hunt, because people are, the state is selling these public lands, and so it goes all the way back to learning to get your firearms too. There's a process that us as Ute people we have to do. There's a blessing way that has to be done to, in regards for a young male to understand, and the protocols of safety of hunting. So buying your firearms and other things that come into play, that you have to understand that these things are traditional ways of doing it, because a lot of the times people don't understand that, because when they go and buy a rifle and then go out and thinking, I'm gonna go hunting today, yes, that's okay, but there's a process that you have to go through before you actually get out there and kill your animal, because if you don't, then a brand new gun that you bought would not even fire if you was to shoot at the animal. That's because the traditional ways of doing this and making sure that everything's in the proper way to get out there and kill the animal that you want to provide for your family. Our elders, we don't have very many elders in our community of White Mesa anymore, because a lot of them are passing on. So the wisdom of the hunting and any other information that we need, boils down to our language too, because the elders, that's the only thing they speak is the Ute. Half of them didn't go to school, maybe went to 5th grade or whatever not, but didn't really, get to a higher level of education to really understand the whole process of what we need to do. And so the language really takes a role on this hunting portion of it and the traditional ways, because that's the only way you're going to get a grasp of it, if you understand and can speak the language, because that's how they're going to speak to you, in the Ute language. And that if you understand it, then you'll get the concept of the whole idea of hunting, whether it's in today's society or in the past. But those are the things we're missing as we go on into the future.